it looks like he is standing in front of the Oakland County Executive Office building. But Dave Coulter, I know better. That is some Zoom magic we're looking at. How you doing today?
It's a little bit of magic. I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
I am. See, when you come on the show first, you get that big ball of energy that we start with every day. And you know what? It isn't fake, Dave. I'm fired up. You know why I'm fired up? I'm fired up because the amazing people in Oakland County are really they're making it happen. We couldn't have seen the results that we've seen without them.
That's exactly right. And you talk about you're doing all of the things that you're supposed to be doing. The good news is it's working. Just as you said, we have flattened the curve in Oakland County. And so as difficult and inconvenient as it has been, we are seeing the results of all of this effort. And that's very positive news. And we should celebrate that.
Well, we should, and we know, meantime, there's still a crisis going on. We've sadly lost way too many people, Dave. We have too many people that are sick, and we still have a lot of people that are getting sick right now. But we've done a lot. When you think back, as I toss it back to you, Dave Coulter, County Executive, Oakland County, you just think back to where this whole thing started 6, even 8, even longer than that weeks ago, when we knew we had to plan for this. We had a lot of work to do, and then you and the governor and our other elected officials had to come to the people with a really tough message and a life-changing message. But, hey, we're getting through it.
Well, we are, and like you said, not without cost. We're at almost 850 of our fellow residents in Oakland County that have not survived this pandemic, and there will be more. So that always weighs heavily on all of us. And so as we begin to enter this new phase, this sort of gradual reopening phase, we owe it to them, and we owe it to the efforts that we've already made not to allow a second spike, not to miss the opportunity to do this in a safe and cautious manner, because we know we have to get the economy back up and rolling. We can't do this forever, but the pandemic isn't gone. The virus is still with us. It's still very dangerous, and it can spike very easily. This is a very aggressive, very nasty virus, and we cannot for a minute take our eye off of what it can do. And so in Oakland County, what we're doing is, as we're allowing and as the governor's orders allow more businesses to open, like manufacturing and construction, we're going to make sure that we do it, but we do it in a safe way that sticks to the health protocols that we know have been working. And so if we do these things together, I think we have a better chance of really making this work.
Well, I agree. Today on the program, after we're done talking to you, we're going to talk to 3 Oakland County manufacturing companies. Stephen Stone is going to join us next. He is the CEO of the Stone Soap Company in Pontiac. And then we're going to talk to the folks at IQ Manufacturing in Auburn Hills and the Schwader Company. So 3 manufacturers here in Oakland County that are going to start to ramp things up. And Dave Coulter, County Executive, what do you have to say to those folks and all the other manufacturers around the county that are getting ready to get back to work?
I want to say this, not just about our manufacturers, but our businesses in general. There's maybe a perception growing that the business community is pushing people like me and the governor to reopen quickly and maybe even irresponsibly. That has not been my experience at all. I think our business community in Oakland County has been amazing. They've tried to do the right thing. They just want clear guidance and help us figure out how we do this the correct and safe way. But they've leaned in on this. They've made donations. Some of the manufacturers have shifted over production to making PPE equipment. They've donated food. They've donated money. They've taken the responsible efforts. And I would say 99% of the businesses in Oakland County have done an amazing job, just like the residents have. And I know that they want to operate in a safe manner as well. And so we want to work with them. This isn't about dictating to them. It's about working with our business community to make sure that their employees and their customers are safe. And I think we all want that.
No, and there's been a lot of cooperation. You applaud the business owners and the people around the county. We applaud you for your decisions and communicating with your press conferences and your outreach via Facebook, and then the health department in Oakland County doing a good job. All the folks are doing a really good job, and we haven't had too many of these. And I'm not picking on the guy, but we haven't had too many of these Owasso barber situations, where we've gotten to loggerheads. And really, Dave Coulter, I mean, that's another thing to celebrate. I'm not trying to do the good news show. It just is happening today. But, that's just another thing. They got a mess up there in their hands, and I'm sure they're going to work it out one way or another. But, we've had good cooperation between between government and the businesses and the people, and we've all kind of partnered really well. And it didn't have to go that way. It's been going that way for the most part in Oakland County, wouldn't you say?
I would, and you bring up a good point, because one of the reasons that we do so much communication and we get the data out there and we give people information is because this really is a trust between the government and the business community and the residents. We don't have enough law enforcement personnel to bust every business and to really create the kind of dictatorship that some people are worried about. There has to be a partnership. There is a certain amount of trust. So my hope is that by giving the communications, by giving the facts, by letting people see the information, they will understand and voluntarily follow these orders. We're not trying to fill up the jails with barbershop owners. And I think we've managed to avoid that for the most part, because we've tried to be very transparent about what's been happening and what we need folks to do. And they have voluntarily stepped up. And that's what I say about our businesses and our residents. And so we haven't had a lot of instances like that. Thank goodness.
Dave Coulter, County Executive here in Oakland County, joining us here on the MegaCast. Dave Scott, Erica Jones in the studio with us today. We'll check in with her in a couple of moments. Tyler Keefe running around. Thanks to all of our radio stations, Lakes FM in West Bloomfield, the Biff in Bloomfield Hills, WAHS in Avondale, our TV outlets in Birmingham and West Bloomfield and beyond, and all of you tuning in today. Thank you very much. Executive Coulter, you guys have been doing a good job, and the implementation has been so much better on testing. You opened up that testing center at the county facility. How's that going?
It's going really well, and so well that we've expanded it. So we're now doing drive-through testing at the county campus in Pontiac. We're also doing it in Southfield at our South Oakland Health office on Greenfield Road in Southfield. And just last week, we expanded it. On Fridays, we're doing testing in Novi at the Civic Center in Novi. So we're trying to broaden our reach of testing. It's simple to do. You just call our nurse on call number and you can make it yourself. You can get yourself a reservation, an appointment to do that. But we know that ultimately reopening the government, the economy, reopening businesses is going to require a lot more testing. And so we're trying to bring testing to more areas of the county. And then the other real focus around testing for us has been in the nursing homes and the senior living facilities, because we know those people are most at risk. And so we have a unique partnership that we just tried out over the last couple of weeks with the EMS workers from West Bloomfield and Southfield and Birmingham. And we're going to use those paramedics who are already trained to do testing in all of our nursing homes and senior living facilities, because we want to make sure that all those folks get tested as well. So we continue to expand the testing that we do. We know that's going to be critical to getting back to life as we used to know it.
Well, Dave Coulter, I appreciate you telling me about that. I'll talk to Greg Flynn and the other chiefs of the fire departments around our area and find out how that program is going. But that's a really good idea, and I'm glad that is helping out. We know the nursing homes are just at the epicenter of this. On the testing front, too, you're talking about what's going on the municipal side. There's also more testing that at least we've been seeing on the private sector, too. I had a quick care facility. I think they're Telegraph Quick Care has a number of centers around the area. They're testing. In addition, they said, I don't know if you know about this or not. In addition, they told me on the show last week that they're going out and they're going to be helping businesses by helping businesses test on site as well. So there's all kinds of things going on, and the testing is improved an awful lot.
Yeah, we're starting to see, just like you would for the seasonal flu vaccine, that you can get at Rite Aid and at your local pharmacy now, that some of them now have the kits and the lab capacity to do these tests. And I'm all for it. The more, this isn't a competition, the more places that you can go conveniently to get a test, the better. Now, some of them charge, some of them don't. Our testing is free, so it's a mix of fee or non or free at some of those private sites, but whatever's most convenient for you and wherever you feel most comfortable, I encourage people to get a test wherever that may be available.
I appreciate you mentioning that, Dave, and it is going to be helpful as these businesses ramp up. Some of them are going to want to be increasing their testing as well, so having it available from a wide variety of sources. I didn't look at the numbers this morning. I know you're always looking at the numbers. I heard we had a pretty favorable couple of days, but can you bring us up to date on what you see happening out in the community lately?
Yeah, so a couple of things. We have about 7,700 total cases of positives, 841 deaths. The good news, almost 5,100 recoveries, which is nice. We started a few weeks ago tracking recoveries, and that's a positive number. Like you, I did notice that the numbers this weekend were down. However, I'm not sure what to make of that because weekend numbers are often down. And I don't know if there's less reporting that happens over the weekend. So I'll be more interested in seeing what this afternoon's numbers are, and we'll get those probably sometime around 1 or 2 p.m. I do watch those very closely. But having said that, it does look like Oakland County hit its peak somewhere around the second week of April. So we are on a gradual decline. We are on the downside of the curve right now. So that is good news. It does show that the steps that we've taken have brought this down. And so that's why the governor would say we're in phase 3, which is flattening, and stage 4, which is significant decline. I think if these numbers hold up, we'll be in stage 4 relatively soon. And so that is reason for optimism. It does say it's working. But the weekend numbers to me are always a little squishy because I've noticed this in the past, and then there'll be a spike on Monday, and it really was just numbers not getting reported. The system isn't perfect, to be, but in general, the overarching news is that we seem to be beyond our peak, and we're moving in the right direction.
So, Dave Coulter, I don't want to get you in the middle of a big political mess here. I promise not to do that on our show. But what would you be advising the governor, if you will? You are at the helm of certainly probably the most prolific county in the state of Michigan when it comes to business. We have a lot of business interests here in Oakland County. What would you be recommending to the governor as we get toward the end of the month as far as continuing to open businesses, continuing to relax things? If I just promoted you to governor and you had the pen, what would you be telling her to do with it?
Ooh, I'd have more gray hairs than I have already because she's in a tough job. But, I think her most recent order, I would describe it like some of her previous ones. They're tough decisions to make, but I think it was appropriate. So she extended the stay at home till May 28th, but at the same time, sort of taking a more scalpel approach in terms of which industries are best poised to be able to open. And I think that's the hard thing. Politics has gotten very black and white. It's easy to be on this camp or that camp, but I believe that this pandemic requires us to be a balance of staying safe, making sure that we're listening to the public health folks and we're doing things in a safe manner, and yet reopening industries as the protocols allow, as we are safe to do so. And politics doesn't react well to nuance. It's easier to argue one side or the other, but we have to thread the needle. We have to reopen our economy, but we have to do it in a way that's safe. And I would argue that makes residents feel confident that it's safe to go back out. You know, if she said tomorrow, she's getting a lot of heat, I know, from the restaurants. And if she said tomorrow restaurants could go back to normal, I doubt that a lot of people would go back to eating in restaurants where we're at today. Unless you knew that your server was negative and your chef was negative and that you could be socially distanced in a way that kept you safe, I think there's going to be a lot of fear on the part of the public. And so I don't think people are going to flock back to those things. So we have to do both. We have to create an environment where consumers feel safe, and they are safe, and businesses have what they need to offer a safe environment. So, it's a nuance, and nuance and politics doesn't always go well together. But I think she's going to have to continue to try to thread that needle, and I think she's done a good job of that.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, and I've said several times, untangling these knots a lot harder than putting them together in the first place, and those are hard decisions too. You know, I look at like Troy and Royal Oak and Birmingham and all these great restaurants, and I could go on and on. Rochester, all these Ferndale, thank you. Yes, all these great, of course, your town. Yeah. All these great communities with all these restaurants. We're dying to get back in there. We really are. So hopefully it'll happen soon. Do you think just crystal ball, I don't know if you want to come out and say it, but you think like maybe June, July? What are you thinking?
I think it's a possibility. I think you put it well. It's easy. It was easier to shut down than to open back up for lots of good reasons. But if you notice, one of the things that we did as we were shutting down in Oakland County is we said, well, maybe you go to 50% capacity. That allows you enough room in your establishments to provide for that social distancing. I could see something like that being part of an order to help restaurants get back up to at least 50% capacity plus carryouts. I think that would be a benefit to our restaurant owners and restaurant workers, and I could see something like that happen. So I don't think it's going to be where suddenly one day, okay, restaurants back to normal. I think you're going to have a phased reopening. It'll probably be some sort of percentage of capacity with some kind of protocols where you do a health screening of your employees, for instance. I think that's totally reasonable. And I don't think June seems like an unreasonable time frame for that. But again, it's going to require the numbers continuing to trend where they're at now.
Dave Coulter, County.
I'm getting a lot and questions about festivals over there. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Continue.
I'm getting a lot of questions about festivals. And the reality is, we won't know until we get a little closer and those numbers continue to do what they're doing now. So we have to keep at it. And the better we do now, the more sacrifice we make now, the quicker we'll get back to it.
Yeah, well, we really hope those festivals, events, meetings, conferences. It's more than festivals. It's we got a lot of properties in Oakland County and a lot of interest in Oakland County that are engaged in meetings and hotels and all these other things too. We want to get it all going, but it's all going to happen at the right time. So, yeah, I know that the organizers I talk to, they're working on a plan. And a plan B and a plan C, just probably like the restaurants are working on.
Yeah.
And we'll get there when we get there. Let me ask you one final question, Dave Coulter. You've been very charitable with your time. Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter with us. So you're in Oakland County, one of the most populous counties in the state of Michigan, certainly one of the most impacted counties in the state of Michigan. If someone says, hey, look, in Sheboygan County, they really have very little activity up there. Maybe we can open up some businesses there quicker than we can in southeastern Michigan. Do you have a problem with that, or do you have any thoughts on that for the governor and other people who are making those decisions?
One of the things I would tell our friends in northern Michigan, one of the things that I learned was just how quickly this virus spreads and how pervasive it can be. We went from 1 or 2 cases to hundreds of cases really, really quickly. It is hard to stop once the genie is out of the bottle. And So what's the problem with that? Well, not only is it obviously impacting our residents' health, but I saw how quickly it overwhelmed our healthcare system. And we have one of the best healthcare systems. We have like 14 hospitals in Oakland County. We have, Beaumont and St. Joe's and amazing hospital capacity. And quickly, within weeks, their capacity was overwhelmed. So thank your lucky stars if you don't have a spike and you're in the north area, but just know it could take one large gathering to create a spike that not only would put hundreds of your residents at risk, but could overwhelm your healthcare system. So just that's what was really impressed on me, was just how quickly and devastatingly this virus takes hold to people and systems, and I would say learn from what we saw and continue to take this incredibly serious.
All right. Dave Coulter, thank you very much. Anything else for the fine people of Oakland County and Michigan before we say so long?
I just want to say thank you. I know this hasn't been easy. It was really hard for me yesterday because I do Mother's Day at my house and I have my family over and we weren't able to do it. I know the personal hardship that and that's nothing compared to people who have lost loved ones or have had them sick. So I just want to say to the people of Oakland County, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for taking this seriously. Thank you for leaning in and donating to organizations that are helping. And just know that we have a little ways to go, but what you've done has made a difference, and it's appreciated.
David Coulter, thank you very much. Your time is appreciated as well. You're doing a good job communicating with the people and making some tough decisions. We appreciate you taking time for us. He is the executive of Oakland County, David Coulter.